it's going to be another lost season for Washington.
Yeah, what do you make? Can we talk about that for a second? Are we missing?
If we have to.
I don't know. I don't know if we're missing because you were very pessimistic anyway about the team, and you should be. I haven't bet Washington's under. Now, it's been getting bet under in some places. I don't think the Young News is necessarily correlated to that, but like I've seen like some 7.5s juiced under now on them, and I'm just like, am I missing something? Where like, not am I missing something where why are people betting it? Am I like, should I be on the bandwagon of betting the under on their win total? Like, am I really missing an obvious thing here?
You're starting to see a market flip with Washington where it's to the point. I mean, Bet Rivers still has it at -134 to the over, plus 110 under
on 7.5.
At least you can get some plus. Right. Yeah, on 7.5. So if you want to bet the under, you at least get some plus money right now over Bet Rivers. And but the market is starting to flip a little bit, and it has to do with it. Look, the overreaction to preseason, we see it so often where a quarterback doesn't look great in a new offense, and they're doing certain things. And you hear about what they do in camp, and people start to freak out. But they've upgraded a quarterback, but that doesn't mean they actually have a good quarterback or consistent quarterback. And look, I pointed out plenty, right? There was a sandwich, a bad beginning of the season, a bad end of the season. That's the bread on the Carson Wentz sandwich last year. In the middle, there was a lot of good football, but it wasn't enough to even get them to the playoffs. And, if Jim Irsay keeps ripping him in the media, constantly talking about how leadership last year was a problem and blah, like everybody knows Jim Irsay does not like Carson Wentz, and he's still very vocal about it. It's the person that's been out of a relationship for a year, and yet they still find ways to throw shade at their ex. And this is exactly what's going on right now with Jim Irsay trashing Carson Wentz. But like all that stuff does matter, and then that narrative carries over to what you have going on in Washington right now, where one, Antonio Gibson, who was supposed to be their feature back, has been fumbling the hell out of the football all preseason, whether it's in camp or in preseason games. He had 6 fumbles last year, which is already a problem. Looks like Brian Robinson may end up being the starting running back for Washington, the rookie out of Alabama. So there's that to look at. And then on top of everything, you go, okay, well, they got their top 3 receivers certainly have the potential, especially after Terry McLaurin. But then the rest of that core after 1 through 3 is tons of question marks. And then Chase Young's going to miss the first 4 weeks of the season there alone. They still look horrible on third down defense, which was they've been one of the worst teams in the NFL stopping third down consistently over the last few years now. So the hype around Washington heading into last year has really, really deflated to where we are right now. Do I think that they could still be an 8-win team or a 9-win team? Yes, because it's the NFC East, and as we know, anything is possible there. But right now, you can see the market is starting to flip a little bit, and the public is clearly starting to go the other direction a little bit, just because of the narratives that are around this team, and maybe a little more confidence in, clearly Dallas and Philadelphia, and maybe, as crazy as it sounds, I mean, maybe even the Giants with Brian Daboll out there as a new head coach. You think it's a fresh start there with the Giants?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, there are a lot of people that are optimistic about the Giants. I'm not one of them, but you're right that is out there, and there's a lot of optimism. I haven't bet Washington's under. I see it moving in that direction, and I'm like, should I be surprised that that's happening? And now Chase Young's going to miss at least the first 4. Should I be surprised that this is happening? I guess not. And I feel like, God, if like we get to the end of the year and they're 5-12, and I just go like, there were really 8s on Carson Wentz, and I didn't bet under. Like, what kind of a dummy am I? Like, what an incredible moron. I'm not nervous, but like concerned that now we may be headed in that direction, and I have no money on it. That's unfortunate. So yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you, but I just think, the one other way that kind of comes into the market, basically, this general pessimism, is that week 1 game against Jacksonville, which is like, I mean, you couldn't, if you polled 100 people who bet, you're going to get maybe some people who are like, I don't want to bet the game, but man, you're going to get a ton of Jacksonville's and like no Washington's at the current number, basically. So it's just, It's very interesting. Groupthink in the NFL can be pretty dangerous before a season starts. That's got to be not like among like the general public, but God, like just people who do content is a terrible way to put it too. I don't even know what I'm going for here. Like a class of bettor who are like kind of like casual, but like are kind of plugged into the NFL. I feel like 100% of them are on Jacksonville in week 1. And you're just like not necessarily seeing that in the point spread movement so far, but it's set up as a really funny game where Jacksonville won 2 regular season games last year. They have the same quarterback. And now everyone's going to be like, I like them to go on the road and win as like a field goal underdog. Like that's what I would like to happen. It just kind of shows you like the level of pessimism. If so, part of it's optimism in Jacksonville. That's a big part of it. But part of it too, I think, is just like a lot of pessimism in what's going on in Washington. And you are starting to see that a little bit in some of the win total markets. Them starting to get bet under a little bit in the last couple of days.